Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Beldon Huang, an undergraduate of Media and Culture at Lancaster University in the UK. In today's video, we're going to look at the summary of the book called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by psychologist and professor Oliver Sacks. So how I would describe this book in 3 sentences? Well, firstly, I think this is a book of all types of people with different issues and personalities. And secondly, I think the book displays wonderfully the core of human nature, which we cannot quite get rid of, no matter how messed up we are. And thirdly, it feels good to be normal. And about the story of how I discovered it, it first appeared to have shown on the MIT Introduction to Psychology videos that I watched with Chris, who is one of my tutors that I used to have lessons with, where the professor displayed this book in one of his videos and I realized that he actually used some of the stories in the book as examples, which were all pretty overwhelming, but also amazing. And soon later, when school started in January this year, in last year, there on my reading list, the first one actually appears to be this exact same book. And after looking at the other 50 or so on the list, it was certain that this book is one that I was going to read first. And so I just started reading it straight away. So who should read it? This book is filled with an overwhelming number of hardcore professional psychological terms, to which I think, unless you're really interested in psychology, you're really likely going to get bored after having to constantly search the definition of those words when you're not even halfway through the book yet. And not to mention that before every chapter starts, Sacks, the author, likes to start with an introduction, which is not filled with hardcore psychological terms, but with an uncountable number of fancy phrases and sentences that you would have to search and probably read a sentence for like 2 times in order to understand what's saying. In addition, the experience for you wouldn't be really fun. And there are, of course, other much simpler ways to study human nature. However, if you're going to study psychology in the future, I would sincerely recommend this book as it gives you insight into what's like working in a hospital filled with mentally ill, disabled patients, along with various types of brain issues and the associated problems and behaviors these patients had. It is informative, mind-blowing, and profound all at once. About how the book changed me, alongside gains in psychological knowledge and literature devices, I think that this book has really made me a more sympathetic and careful person, especially after reading so many unfortunate, sorrowful stories. Firstly, this made me be more aware of people's mental and physical state. And secondly, be more careful so as to prevent myself from suffering any of those injuries that could potentially lead to serious damage physically and mentally, as is illustrated in the book. And talking about sympathy, it is also, in my opinion, hard to neglect the fate that was given to these characters, and despite their deficits and disabilities, every single one of us long for purpose and order, as well as wanting to be useful through our strengths while exploring and discovering our true selves and our goals in life. Last but not least, I realized it is good just to be normal and to be able to do what normal people can do. And for this thought, I'm grateful. As for my top 3 quotes of the book, first one by Louis Buñuel. You have to begin to lose your memory, if only in bits and pieces, to realize that memory is what makes our lives. Life without memory is no life at all. Our memory is our coherence, our reason, even our action. Without it, we're nothing. And second one by Oliver Sacks himself, the power of music to organize. And in drama, there is still more. There is the power of role to give organization, to confer while it lasts an entire personality. And thirdly, by Wittgenstein. The aspect of things that are most important for us are hidden because of their simplicity and familiarity. And here is my summary and notes section. In Chapter 1, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. This story is about Dr. P, a nice, funny, and great musician, and he taught at the local school of music and was diagnosed with prosopagnosia. And its symptoms are he couldn't recognize people's faces, even his own, including his family, friends, colleagues, students, etc. And he could only identify people from their voice. And so that led him to doing things such as petting the heads of fire hydrants as he thought that they were children. And he even tried to lift his wife's head off because he thought it's his hat. And he does not look into people's faces when they're speaking and had trouble focusing on people's eyes as he had this sudden random fixations as he's looking at people, seeing people and looking at them talk. And he could only identify small details, but not the whole picture, which could be seen through the example of the National Geographic picture. He was only able to identify objects, for example, gloves, roses, etc., but could not understand the picture as a whole. And he had visual problems with his left eye. And he thought he was, for example, this could be seen when he thought he's wearing his left shoe, but he actually wasn't. And he could not register information on his left side and could only see the right. And lastly, he was unconscious of his problems. And for Dr. P, Sachs stated that visual parts of the brain were damaged and temporal lobes were fully intact, which explains why he was such a great musician. But there was a massive tumor and a degenerative process. in his visual area. And Dr. P, in general, had lost the ability to identify reality. As Kant says, life and being are both based on judgment, as well as classifying, categorizing, and putting feelings into them. Otherwise, without them, we're essentially computers, such like Dr. P. Carrying on, Chapter 2 is about the Lost Mariner. And this story is about a guy called Jimmy. He was a fine-looking, healthy, nice lad, 49 years old, good in science and math, and he used to work in the Navy until 1965. And he was diagnosed with Korsakoff syndrome. And his symptoms are he uses past tense to describe the past, but uses present tense while talking about it, as if he was still living in 1945. And he was good at things like solving puzzles, complex math problems, and Morse code. But when tasks take over a certain amount of time, he gets lost and forgets what he was doing. And whatever is said and done, after a period of time, was all forgotten. He lives in the present like he's still in the past, as he thought the year Sachs wrote this book in 1985 was still 1945, and was utterly surprised when Sachs introduced him to the technologies that were invented after 1945, such as planes, images of Earth, and also behaves like he is still in his 20s and remembers everything until 1945. What happened was Jimmy was a heavy drinker until 1985 when he got sent to the hospital. He got into drinking as soon as he left the Navy, where a strict punctual lifestyle is applied. And Korsakoff is when there's a disruption in neurons produced by excessive alcohol intake in the tiny but crucial mammillary bodies. Mammillary bodies is a part of the brain, with the rest of the brain remain normal. and it is extremely rare even amongst heavy drinkers. However, he feels empty, and patients like him still have thoughts, feelings, wants, needs, and passion. And for Jimmy, he wanted to find his purpose in life. And there, it could be seen that no matter how bad a person's illness is, the will of that person may not easily be affected, or even at all. And as illustrated by Sachs, when he saw Jimmy at Mass, he could see from his facial expression and his eyes that as if he had found his purpose in life. And memories is what makes us who we are, and it affects our personality and how we feel, think, and act, while serving us purpose. And without it, we're nothing. And that's it for today, guys. Chapters 1 and 2 of the summary of the book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And this book is quite long, so it will take quite a number of videos to finish them. So the upcoming videos in the future will be the summaries of this book. I hope you guys found this helpful, and don't forget to comment below, share this video, turn notifications, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.